Oh, hey guys, welcome to my channel, welcome to the stream, and another chapter working on this guy here. Pardon my frog in my throat. I'm gonna run the intro in a second here. This is the F-18 Super Hornet by Hasegawa, 148 scale. Yeah, run the intro, get started. Okay guys, we're back and we're going to continue on this build. I did do a little bit of stuff off camera to get in preparation for today's build. So I did a little bit off camera. So let's switch the camera here and we'll show you a little bit what I did. Okay. So last time we got our fuselage all clamped together and it's all done, and so she's together and I'm happy with it. I did a little bit of sanding here to take away this bit of a lip that's right there. If I get it in the right angle, you can see it's not quite straight, but it's one of those things that's not really going to be too noticeable. The other one was up at the nose here where it connects. That was a big lip right across here, so I sanded that down, gave that a bit of a chamfer there. It's still got a little bit of a funny looking, you know what I mean. It's still, but it's not bad. It's not bad. We've got our sides all buttoned together good. I put some putty in here to fill in some gaps and did a bunch of sanding on that. So we'll see what that all looks like when I throw some primer on it. Did some on this side too. And then off camera, I put on our one wing. Remember, we just started doing some wing assembly, getting our flaps ready. And so I installed them on this side. And so today we're going to do the other side, okay? Now there's a little bit of prep. There is a little bit of prep I need to do in order to get the wing on there, okay? So, oh, the other thing we did, we got our tail fins. We did our tail fins last time, right? So those are done. Those are just sitting there all nice and pretty. So I got some little bits and pieces here for our wing on the right side. And so we're going to take care of this. Don't slide these under my paper. Okay, so just like last time. So we've got all these set out here. So let's take a look at what these are. Okay, so just like last time, we had the two halves of this one that's going to go on our front of the wing. This one's going to go on the back. That's just one by itself. These were two pieces that go together, just like on the other side. Now those actually go on the part. I'm going to move my fuel tanks out of the way here. They actually go onto this part of the wing. So this one's going to go onto the front, I believe, like this. And then this one will go on to the rear, like that. Okay? And we're going to have a flap. Flap's going to go down on here. And then this rear flap is going to go on the main part. Okay? We have holes here. That's for these guys. And that's what those are all about. So those guys are going to go in the spots similar to this, but they're going to go right there and there. Okay? Sorry, there and there. Okay? So, let's start with that. Okay? So we look at our thing. We've got this little inset here. This plane allows us, they give us options depending on how we want to display this, with the flaps straight or the flaps down. Okay? Obviously, I'm doing it in the down position. You can see that great big flap there is down. Okay? I also did our forward flap in a downward position, just to show. I know that a lot of times these are just straight and stuff like that, but I want to show in my model that this is a separate piece that's actually movable on the real plane and therefore is sitting like that. And that translated over to my little wing tip part with the flap down on the back. That's something I wasn't quite sure about, because this is going to be facing up, right? And so it's going to sit like that, right? I don't know. I didn't bother doing any research to see if that's actually legit, if that's how it's supposed to go, or not. Or if this would be straight as it goes up. I don't know. I really don't know. I didn't do any research. So if it's wrong, it's wrong. Whatever. Anyway, so what I want to do is put our little guys on here first, and that's these two. Okay, one there and one there. These are actually for a little wing, for the little one. No, they're not. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. This goes here. I need to change my glasses so I can see what I'm doing. So, bear with me a moment here. I'm going to get glue prepared off to the side so I don't knock it. I already have these parts cleaned up, so I've already cleaned up my sprues and my little nubs and everything like that, so these should be ready to install. Just like that. Now I did take notice in the instructions, there's a little ball on that right there. Those go towards the inside of the plane. That's something I did notice in the instruction book there. So that's where we're going to put them. So that's how I chose my lefts and rights. So that guy literally sits like that. A little bit of glue on there. And I want to make sure he is parallel to the wing and not on some kind of weird angle. I want to make sure that's straight. 90-degree parallel on there, just like they did with that one there. Okay. And then we have our smaller one goes towards the outside. And of course you've got our little pegs here to line up in the holes, and so that should make it easier for you for alignment and to figure out which side goes where. Do the same thing here and make sure he's straight up and down as much as I can. Another thing you can do is you can kind of just sort of test how this lines up on here to make sure your little pegs line up in the holes. So if they don't line up, then you don't have them lined up. Does that make sense? And I don't have them lined up. That guy needs some alignment there. So do it while the glue is curing. Don't wait till the glue is fully cured. There we go. So I'm lined up now. That's good. All right. So we're going to let that sit and not play around with that too much. We'll just let these guys cure in their home. Now they're in their new homes. We can leave them alone. All right. So we'll do our forward fin. That's this guy here. And he goes in like that with the wide end towards the center of the plane. And you can literally just put it in any position you want. It's anywhere you want, except up, because that would be wrong. You don't go up. So what I did is to figure out and give myself a position. There's a little panel line right there. Okay, so that panel line right there, I line that up with the bottom right there. So that's how I can get that going in the same spot on the other side. So I know that I can bend this down and put it in that spot like that. And then they're going to be equal. They'll be equal on the equal sides. Yes. That doesn't make sense, but it doesn't always have to make sense. So, a little dab of glue there. That should help hold it in place when I let go. There we go. A little bit. And we'll position this downward, not too far down, right about there. We'll add a little more glue. Push that nice and tight. There we go. All right. So, some glue on the bottom now. And that one's done. Just gonna make sure, yep, we're in tight. Good. Good. All right, so that's that one. Now, what I did on this side is I put the little one here on the back. It literally just sits in. It sits on these two little tabs. There's two little tabs, one right in here and one right here. Okay, and it's got a couple of little notches on it. Here, you can see those notches? Little slits almost. One here, one pair there, and one pair here. And those literally just sit on that. I chose to have it folded down just a little bit to have it kind of cover the flap just a little bit. So it goes in like this. I was thinking of maybe putting it on after. You can put it on after the flap or put it on before. It doesn't really matter. They don't interfere with each other. I don't think it makes any difference. So I'll put a couple of dabs of glue on those tabs. That'll help hold it while I position it. So I do want it positioned down just a little bit. And that looks pretty good. It's pretty equal to what I had on the other side. So with it like that, I'm going to get in there with my glue and put a little bit more. And maybe where it's touching the fuselage here, we'll get that get a good little seal on it. All the way across there. All right. So that's that one. All right. So we'll let this sit for a minute or two and let that glue cure a little bit and do its work. I'm gonna set this actually behind me here. Okay, and we're going to work on our little wing tip. Okay. The wing tip, we got to get a couple of pieces still. We've got to get K35 and K4 are actually two pieces that are going to go together, and then I'm going to get K41 or 42, whatever it might be. So we have all these options. They have the ones for if you're doing all your flaps straight, you've got them all here and here, but we're doing the crooked ones. So we're going to use this big guy here. Sure, let's get rid of the whole sprue part. Doink. Okay. And then I'm going to use this guy here. He was a little too eager to come off. And there we go. So those two are going to go together, but we also need K42, which is this little tiny guy here. You can easily just mistake him for anything else. Okay, so we got to clean these up and then get these put together. Why they decided to make these ones two halves, I do not know. I do not know why these are two halves, but when all the rest are one piece, they don't like to go together because of their nubs. Because of their nubs, I found on the other one of the little holes for the guide pin actually had a bunch of flash on it. So I had to get rid of the flash. That's right, I had to get rid of the flash. So whatever universe he was trying to disrupt me, I had to get rid of him. Okay, so I can glue this together first, and then I'll clean up the nubs after, as if it's one piece. just going to pretend it's one piece after this. Squeeze that together real good. Okay. There we go. So I'll clean this up in a minute. We're going to clean up this guy first. The next 3 weeks, because I am going to be going on a 3-week trip to Korea with my wife, visit her family, and so I'm not going to be building no models for 3 weeks. Won't be touching a model. Well, I will be touching models, but it'll be because I'm going to go check out a hobby store in Korea and check out model kits there. But I won't be building any, and I won't be filming anything. So, yeah. Got a little bit of unevenness in these 2 pieces, so I want to shave it down and make it kind of appear like it is 1 piece and not 2. Give that illusion, you know? Kind of like exhaust pipes on a car model. A lot of times your mufflers are 2 pieces, but it's supposed to look like it's 1. Okay, so that guy's done. He's ready to be installed right here in this big part. Bing, like that. He's nice and easy. There's no fiddling with this guy, except for the fiddling I just did. There we go. Okay, so he's installed. Next we have our little guy. Our little guy goes right here, just like so. My little nub doesn't look that great. So he sits like that. Nothing too special with him either. Okay, except he doesn't seem to be sitting flush. It's like I've got some kind of material under here that's preventing him from sitting flush. Let's try that. That's a little better. Okay, a little glue on him. Press it down so he's flat. Same thing, you can go and check on this and make sure your guys are going to line up. Of course, if you just glued them and you're farting around with it, then it might not line up too well, but that looks pretty good. Okay, so in similar fashion, we can take our forward flap. I don't know if it's called a flap on the plane. Forward one. Now it looks like I did a similar thing on this one and I have it pointing down. So I'm going to try and do that same thing on this side. Okay. I'll try and get it the same. Right about there. Just hold that for a sec. There we go. Okay, a little glue on the top. So there's our forward one. Okay. I'll just double check and make sure I'm relatively the same here. Yeah, pretty close. Pretty darn close actually. Okay, and then we have our rear one. Rear one, again, similar fashion. 2 tiny little stubs here and here where it's going to line up and go on in there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry, because what I did on this one is it's actually covering, and it's not quite touching, as you can see, it's not quite touching, but it is covering the wing, I guess, root, whatever you'd want to call it. So I want to do the same on this wing, but I want to let these dry a little bit. So we're going to switch back to our main wing while this dries a little bit. Okay, so let's just put this to the side, you and you, and we're going to put this guy on now. Let's grab our airplane. Almost empty. Okay. Now, as you can tell also, I should mention, I haven't put any putty in this great big gap that I have here yet. Okay, so this guy, we're going to slide him into his holes. Just like so. Kind of hold on to it for a sec. Glue and glue. And we're going to go in this direction so that I can see that I'm not actually in my holes. My holes aren't lining up. Come on, line up with your hole. This hole won't line up. I gotta remove my tab. Damn wing. So with the guide pin gone, I need to just guess add some more glue. Hold that for a sec. And that ought to do it. Okay. So that guy's in. Now, as you saw, my guide pin was not lining up there, so I had to trim it off in order to get it to fit. And that's okay, because it's still a flush fit. And that is that. So there's my two flaps on my two main wings. So now I just got to do the flaps on that other tip. Now this first one, my panel that I put in here, I pushed it in and it's not flush, so I'm only connecting right here on it, and I'm not connected on this part here, right? It's because it's flush, it's sunken in. So after I had done that, it was too late to fix. So when I installed it on this side, I made sure that it was going to be flush. So I got a good connection on there now with this one. And I don't have one on there. It's not a big deal. You know, I was thinking about it the other day. How often do you actually pick up your model and take a look at the underneath? And I can honestly say, once I put it on the shelf, I don't really look at the underneath very often at all. So, yeah. Okay, let that dry for a minute. Well, we'll switch our focus back to this guy. And this time we're going to put the flap on first. And we'll put the cover on after. Okay, just hold them like that. Okay, put a little more glue. Just on this guy here, down in here. Make sure he's glued nice and solid. Okay, now that's going to let me put the other piece down on top. This guy here is going to go on top. So glue here and here, and line him up. Woohoo is right. line him up like this. Just like that. And a little bit of glue along that edge, and he's good to go. And that's that guy, and that's that flap. Just like that. All done. Alright, so our flaps are done. This has to sit and dry nicely now. Even if I don't have it all perfectly lined up, that's okay. Okay, so we're going to sit this down and let that dry. This one's all done. She's all done. So, what is next? What is next? It looks like landing gear's next. That's what it looks like. Looks to me like landing gear's next. So their flaps all done. Step 7 is done. We have engine assemblies that we can take care of. I think. See, I haven't painted the inner cones or the engine fans on our kits yet. That's on our R tree. Let's grab an R tree here. R tree. Yeah, see, I haven't painted these yet. I've painted the whites on my wheels, but I haven't painted my engine nozzles. And of course, there is zero detail on the inside of that, right? Let's get these off of the sprues. And I'll just do a little quick and dirty shot of gunmetal on them. Because I don't think there's going to be... I don't need the nozzle. There we go. Because we got this guy, and this guy's going to go in, I guess like that? No, he goes in on this side. He's going to go like that. And then this guy goes over top. Sort of, kind of. I'll have to check the fuselage, but we need to get some paint onto these guys, because the way they currently are is not going to work for us. So let's just clean up my nubs so that we have good, no problems with installation afterwards. I believe these are just going to slide down into the back of the fuselage. Yeah, they're going to slide down into here. And in theory, they're going to sit flush. Now, if I push that in right now, I might not be able to get it out of there. Even right now, I can just feel it get a little bit tight. So let's just do that. Okay. That being said, I think I want to mask around the outside of this, so that I really don't have that issue of paint. I don't want paint issues. You know what I mean? Somehow I got the perfect amount of masking tape to mask around the outside. I don't know how I did that. Okay, let's get this guy. Okay. All right. So, those masked off. What I'm going to do is I'll grab this thing, flip it over, get a strip here, that, doink, doink, and which is the side that faces out? This side. Doink, and doink. Alright, I'm just going to use rattle can paint. To me is TS42. Yes. Somebody mentioned I was using Tamiya paint, and somebody had a comment that I must be using old stock because yes, Tamiya paint is now banned in Canada, which really sucks. Okay, so these are now light gunmetal color, and will take somewhere between 30 seconds and 3 minutes to dry. Yeah, so we're gonna have to put those aside and just let that dry. Might as well crack open another bottle. Okay, so those are engines, which means we can look at landing gear, main landing gear, and nose gear, because now I know which one is which, right? Thank you very much. So let's do a little bit of assemblies here. Let's start with our nose gear. Let's start putting some pieces of that together. Shall we? Sure. Okay, so looks like stuff off of our A tree, our K tree, and our R's. Okay, I don't have my wheels painted yet. Like I already showed you, I have the whites done on the wheels, but not the rubber, so that's going to be later. Okay. Speaking of K, we need our K tree. K26 is our main gear. No, it's not our main gear. It's our main piece of our nose gear. There we go. What else do we need? We need K48, K28, K47, and 14. Okay. Well, here's 14. That's a little bit over here. Should have been painted white, but he's still gray. Okay, so that's 14. What do we need? 47. Well, here's 47. Another piece that should have been painted white, but was not. 47 looks like a little oil filter. And we need 48. That one's painted white like it's supposed to be. I'll be touching these all up. So that's 14, we got 48, 47, we need K28. 27, 20, no, that's 53. Where's 28? They put 28 right here across from 14. So there's 28. I'm going to put him right here. Okay. And that looks like everything except for our little headlight. Okay, so let's see how this goes. K28. If we put this in the position that they're showing, 28 looks like he's going to go like this and then line up with this peg at the top there, and then they don't show where it goes after that. So it's kind of a guess. If he goes here, where does the rest of them go? That's what I hate about some things like this. I know where this peg goes, but as far as the rest of him, where does he line up? Is he supposed to go here? Because I don't know. Does it go like that? I mean, it's possible. It's kind of getting interrupted there. Maybe it's here. No. You kind of have to rotate and see, is this it? Because they show the line here going from here to this point, which is right there, but they don't show where the rest of it lines up. My guess, because this pin looks like it goes right here, right there, but it's kind of hitting this rounded part. And of course, having not cleaned up my nubs on this doesn't help. When a nub looks like a peg. Sometimes they do details that are so small like this that I wind up not bothering with them, just because it becomes too much of a pain. If I glue that there, it doesn't even line up there either. Where the frack are you supposed to line up to? Are you just loose, hanging in the air? Let's flip this over and go to the other side and see. Our 14 is this one. This way. I really don't know. I really do not know. I could just put it here and just kind of leave it glued on like that. I don't know. I don't know where that's supposed to go. You know what? I'm going to see if I can find some pictures online.
6.5 hours later.
So, if I look at that, this is supposed to go like this, and it does actually go up to this piece here. So it's actually the center of our piece here that's supposed to line up there. That's what she does, guys. Okay, so the center of it here lines up on that little spot, and then this arm goes into that little notch right there, and that's where that goes, just like so. All right, so glue time. Sometimes, yeah, woohoo is right. There we go. Okay, that's that one. Okay, you see how that's lined up on there? That's where that goes. All right, flip her over, put the other one on. And where'd it go? There it goes. Here and here. This is the right orientation. My glue kind of dried before I got them in position, so we go. Okay. And that one's on. So after all that, I got them on there. Finally. Okay? Good. Good, good. Now, let's go back to our drawing. So, our little lights got to get lined up on here. And they want them on to a little rectangle thing. Looks like right here. Like so. I'm going to say the bigger rectangle, for lack of a better term. There we go. Just like that. Okay. So we got our little lights on there. I haven't got those painted the red, green, and orange yet, but they're there. Okay. And then we got a little canister, our oil filter. It looks like our oil filter goes right above it, actually, onto this spot. There is no notch. I thought there'd be a notch on it. I'm very disappointed that there's no locating notch on this thing. There's a big locating nub where it came off the sprue. So other than the fact that it's round and it goes that way and they've got it pointing in a vague spot, it looks like it's going to go into this little kind of a nook right in here. Kind of just like that. Okay? Kind of just like that. Alright? Alright. Yes, it is alright. Alright, alright, alright. I'm just going to add a little more just to make sure he doesn't fall off on me in a later date. So that's that. We have our little L5. He's clear, I believe. I believe L is going to be a clear piece. Let's grab our clear sprue. Yeah, L. We want number 5. There we go. There we go. So now they tell you to paint it silver, but it's near impossible right now. Where does he go? He goes into that little spot right there below our 3 lights. He goes into this little, onto that little tab, that little nub, little dot, little peg, because he's got a little hole in him and he's supposed to go in there. I'm going to try doing it with my hands first and see, because doing it with tweezers is a little challenging. If I can fit him in there and have him stay, he won't stay on his own, so I gotta do that and get some glue. I'm gonna have to put some glue on there first, otherwise he don't stay on his own. Glue on there first, get him oriented, put on there. Get on your button, sit on the button. There we go. So he's installed. I think I am going to paint him chrome. Once the glue on him is dry. So he's in there now. We got our little clear lens right there. Nice and blurry lens. There we go. That guy there. Okay, so he's glued on. Just not painted yet. He needs some love. He needs paint. So there's our nose gear, except of course for our tires. That's going to be something later on. And obviously I can't install any of this stuff because we haven't even painted our fuselage yet, right? That's going to be a whole nother story, a whole nother thing. So there's our main gear, at least most of it anyway. Let's look at our, sorry, I am very sorry, that's not the main gear, that's our nose gear, okay? So we can assemble some of our main gear. Let's take a look at this side first, okay? Let's go K23, 57, 45, and 53. I've got, I think, enough time to do one side. And I'll do the other side off camera so you don't have to do the whole, watch the whole thing. So let's do 23, this guy here. You don't need to watch me do this twice, right? We need 53. This little apparatus right here. Okay. And then we need the main one, 45. This guy here. Okay, is that everything? No, we need 57. 57 is this guy here. I painted this all as one piece, thinking that was one piece, but it's actually two. I'm gonna get the nub out of the middle here. There we go. 57 is this guy here. All right, here we go. So let's clean these up and make sure they're gonna fit. Look, and you know, we want them to fit, we want them to look good when it's all together. And I probably am going to have to touch up the white on a few parts, especially on the nose gear. Those parts that still are primer gray, they're not painted white yet. What I did with all these other parts is I painted them white. It's actually white primer, and then I just did a clear gloss over them in preparation for doing black panel liner. So on our main gear, we've got this guy that goes right here, but we've got a little bit of flashing on our holes. So let's clean off our flashing so that it can fit flush. I will reiterate the necessity for being careful when you're using an X-Acto knife, cutting toward yourself. I made the big mistake the other day while using my ultrasonic knife of cutting towards my thumb, and of course that blade on that ultrasonic knife is extremely sharp, and yeah, I stabbed my thumb pretty good with it. Okay, so that's going to go together like that. Nothing too complicated about this, other than it doesn't look that great. This could probably use another coat of white paint on it. But you know, once I got some weathering on there, probably not going to notice any of it. Once I got some panel liner on there and making it look dirty and stuff like that, probably not going to notice. Okay, so that's this one, and they show it facing like this. So K57 is going to go up into the top here. Looks like we got a big knob that's supposed to go into that hole and just sit like this. Looks like it. That makes installation of that part nice and easy. Yeah. Thank you very much. Let's make sure it's straight and flat and done. Okay. 57's in, so that's those two pieces. Okay. Just like that. Done. Alright, so then we got K53 to go on this side. And of course, it's on this side, so I don't get to see exactly where it's supposed to line up. It looks like part of it is supposed to actually go onto K57 on its little thing, like this, and then cross over like that, I believe. We have a nice curved section here that looks like it's supposed to bend around, and maybe this little peg is supposed to go in that hole. Let's focus more on getting that peg lined up in the hole here, right here, and see where the rest of it kind of lines up. Why don't you want to sit in your hole? There you go. Well, well, well. She don't really line up. They show in the picture over here and kind of here that our long little stick, you know, this part is going parallel to this, like that. But you can see it puts this just down in the air, where they show it actually going all the way up. But if I put it all the way up, it doesn't really fit. It's almost like it's molded wrong, I'd say. Or they have it backwards. That's also a possibility. 53, I could need actually 54. I'm going to take 54 off the sprue. In the last few minutes, I'll fart around with this a little bit and see. I don't think it's actually 54 because of the mold is probably reversed, and so it probably won't. Yeah, see, that's not going to work at all because it's going that way. So yeah, it's not 54. I think what I'm going to wind up having to do, if I actually want to install this, if I'm really dead set on getting this installed, is I'm going to have to bend it. I'll have to install it like this, the way that it's supposed to be, and then bend it. Or put it like this. It's actually supposed to be like this. It's this part that's bent. Our little stick is bent. We bent our stick. It could be just bent out of the case, because I look at this one. This one's a little bit more 90 degree-ish. This one's bent past 90. I mean, no, it is bent. Wow. Anyway, I'm going to say they molded it wrong. I'm going to bend this back almost to the point of breaking it so that I can get this mounted properly. Like that. Into it really does not want to stay into its little peg. There. Okay, I'm going to glue it like that now. You're getting some glue on you. Okay. Just don't glue my hand. And that lines up with the piece we put on the front here. Or at least almost. He came out of his hole. Of course he did. Because why not come out of your hole? Pain in the ass. Get in your hole. When I put him in his hole, he doesn't sit straight. And of course, this being the wrong way, such a pain in the neck. Okay, so he's in, although all the glue that I've put on him to keep him in is dried. I'm gonna leave it like that. Okay, let's spend 5 more minutes doing this. Get the fuck in your hole. I said get the fuck in your hole. Okay. Re-glue everything. There we go. Okay. So this needs to be bent proper. Okay, that arm needs to be bent proper, but I'm going to have to wait till the other piece is finished drying before I can do that. Okay. That means we're just going to leave this like this. I'm actually going to put it on an alligator clip, so that I can just suspend it in the air and let that dry. Put that over here out of my way so that I do not have to worry about it anymore. Okay, so this is where I have to leave it. I'm going to do the other main landing gear, do the other side, we'll get that done. And then later on I'll get some stuff painted up, I'll get this ready for installation and stuff like that. Okay. The next step, of course, is putting on our landing gear bay doors, which I cannot do until the fuselage is painted and actually ready for that. So I can't do that yet. Which leads us to the next page. The next page would be missile assembly, which I've already done the pylons. My pylons are already assembled, so that's, and of course those are just 2 halves that go together. It's very simple and easy. As far as the missiles, there's only 2 missiles. There's the AIM-9X Sidewinder and the what is the other one? The AIM-120 AMRAAM. So we got 2 AMRAAMs, we got 2 AIM-9Xs, and that's it. And yeah, and we can choose different, weapons loadouts. We've got 3 different versions here, which is why they give us 4 fuel tanks if we want them. I think I'm going to do maybe 3 fuel tanks, or maybe just 1 fuel tank. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have to decide. Yeah, and that's about it. Which means, really, the next step we have to do is probably going to be painting the fuselage. Getting some paint down on the fuselage might be our next step. Okay, that might be next time, guys. I want to thank you. I want to thank you all. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for joining me on this little adventure. And thank you for the support. And I like seeing your comments. Thank you very much. I love reading your guys' comments. Please comment down below. And don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget that. You got to hit the like button. And subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate that. Down in the description box, you're going to see some links to my Twitch and my Instagram, my X, my Discord, which I never am on, but it's there. Anyway, thanks guys for watching, and we're going to see you all in the next one.